Hello and welcome to Mama T Energy. I am Tiara, aka Mama T, and I love supporting you and tapping into deeper wisdom, coming to a place where you know who you are and you're able to step into devotional practices to live an extraordinary life. So today I have the beautiful Sonya here to share a little bit of her magic and wisdom as we tap into this 2026 year, the year of the fire horse and all sorts of initiatory energies and frequencies. So welcome. Can
Thank
you
you.
share?
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, share more about who you are and what you do.
So, my name is Sonya Shelton, and I do many things. One of the things that I do is I'm the CEO of Executive Leadership Consulting. So, helping companies create synergy in their organization so that people are working together and all on the same page and achieving their purpose and their vision. I also have a healing and spiritual business called Center of the Seven Rays, where I do kinds of activations and healings and classes and workshops and things like that. And I just follow, I have this energy of a lot of my hobbies turn into a business, and then I just get to play with them.
I love that. I love that. Can you speak more on like your entrepreneurial spirit and where does that come from?
Well, I think it probably comes genetically. So, my parents were entrepreneurs. I grew up in, where dinner table conversations were about, I would say, the most challenging things in their business were what were talked about at dinner at night because they couldn't talk about it in the office during the day. And financials or problems with people or whatever it was. And the funny part is that when I was a teenager, I think I was absorbing a lot of those lessons by listening to the conversations, but I was super annoyed and I was like, I'm never going to be in business. I'm going to be a writer and I'm creative and I don't want to have anything to do with that. And then the universe had other plans. So,
I love it and I love your energy and your laughter. It's just so beautiful. And I think that was part of why I was like, I want you on the podcast. So super magical. Can you talk a little bit about the shift from wanting to be a writer to the work that you do now?
yeah, so whenever somebody asks me, like, tell me about your career journey, like, well, it's super eclectic. Because I did, so, in high school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do and I did it. And I had these goals of I wanted to be a music journalist for a rock magazine. And I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, not a big city, not a publication or publishing mecca, nothing like that. Right, right. It was like, I thought that this is a lifelong goal, like this is something that I'm going to spend my whole life becoming and doing. And I moved to California to go to school, and before I even finished school I was writing for a rock magazine. Within a few years I was the editor. Everything that was on my list was done at the age of 23, and I kind of went, oh, okay, uh, now what? Right. So I had it like kind of started with plans, achieved those goals, and then went, well, I don't really know what the next plan is. So I started flowing with what opportunities came in. And so I started working in um, advertising and marketing and, as a copywriter. And then I decided to move to Seattle. So I couldn't find a job when I moved to Seattle, so I started my own business there, doing more communications work, sort of a combination of, in a way, journalism and advertising and marketing. And then I met my husband, came back to LA, and ended up being called or contacted by the Walt Disney Company to be part of their internal communications team. Again, got onto the team, rose through the ranks, became an executive. I was leading that area globally. And then it went through a lot of, I would say, really hard lessons in difficult bosses, a really challenging time for the company culturally, where I was at the center of it, being internal communications, and kind of beat me up a bit. And then I saw just the impact for myself of leadership, and how I was being led and then how I was then leading my team as a result, and realize the importance of it, and also realize that I could have a bigger impact if I wasn't in an organization, if I was outside of the organization. And that's sort of back to starting my own company again. And now I don't think I can ever go back to being an employee. Like I've it's been that was almost 20 years ago, and I can't even imagine like going back to being an employee somewhere.
I love it. And I think it's such a commonality for spiritual entrepreneurs to kind of like, okay, I started here and then I went this way and then I took a hard left and it's just like this crazy map. There's not like a very, stream linear way that people can go. So I love that. And thank you for sharing your story. A word that's been showing up for me a lot this year is devotion. And I'm finding that those who I see as successful in their industry have a type of devotion. Maybe they don't use that word, but there is this drive for going for their goals. There's this non-negotiable energy around getting to where they want to go. So can you speak a little bit about what drives you and how do you stay the course as you're moving towards whatever new achievement you're going for?
Yeah, so my why is about making an impact in with others, so outside of myself. So I am always looking for, if I'm not making that impact, my energy goes down, and I can feel that. So even if I'm working with a client, I tell them up front, if I feel like we're not making progress, or the work that we're doing with you isn't making an impact, I will fire you as a client, because it's frustrating for me. It's going to be ultimately frustrating for you because you're paying for something that's not working. And so there has to be this reciprocal energy flow that comes with, even though I'm working in corporate environments, or, in companies, I still look at it very energetically. And I actually decided to do this work in a way because I thought, well, if you want to change the world and you want to have this impact, then you need to go where the power is, right? And where the power is in a lot of these corporations. And I sort of have this visual of, if I can help teams work better together and they spend most of their day at work and they can be fulfilled in their job, and they're connected to a purpose outside of themselves as well. They're connected to an organization's purpose. They're aligned with that purpose. They see that their purpose connects to it. Then they go home and they're not stressed and angry and frustrated about their job, which impacts their family, which impacts their community. And then they can see how synergy works, and how actually we don't have to be in competition. We could even go beyond collaboration and actually help each other win. That can sort of that energy then compounds out into communities, into organizations working together. And that's sort of my vision on why I do what I do. Um, and so even though, and then I've also had, the hard time of looking at working at Disney. So I feel like that happened for me, even though it was painful, so that I can really have empathy for my clients, and I know where they are, and I'm there without judgment, right? Like there's, um, a lot of times people are behaving badly because of their environment. Um, and that was the case for me, during difficult times. And so I have empathy for them and help them see another way, and that they can actually be more fulfilled. And so having that purpose every day, and I work with my clients on that, having their purpose figured out every day helps you come with that motivation and that drive, and remembering why you're here, right? So it doesn't become a grind. It's more about connecting to that purpose, and fulfilling that purpose.
That's so powerful. And I love that you're working with these bigger organizations because I believe the same thing where if, we can get into the minds of the people in power and help them to see energetics, help them to shift how things are done. And it's not just the bottom line, but really how we work together as a community and a collective, we can make this world a better place. So for those who are interested in working with corporations, how would you help them kind of come with the mindset of being able to bring energetic work into that industry?
I think it was a good lesson for me. So about 10 years ago, I wrote a book called You're an Executive, but Are You a Leader?
Mm,
And I also practice Zen Buddhism. And I was at the Zen Center practicing, and my Zen teacher and I were talking about the book because he also had his own business at the time, and he had read the book, and we were talking about it, and someone said, "Oh, did you write a book about Zen?" And he said yes, and I said no. And I was like, "It's not." I was like, "It's not about Zen," and he was like, "Yes, it's not explicitly about Zen, but those teachings are in everything you talk about, right? So that it's like it doesn't. I'm not saying I'm going to teach you how to do business from a Zen perspective. It's how I live my spirituality shows up in the work that I do and how I talk about things and my philosophy. So it's not it's coming to it embodied in your energy will have the impact. You don't have to hit them over the head with it, right? You just have to be. And a lot of my clients have said over the years, "Oh, we need you to come work your magic." Right? They can't even explain it what I do sometimes. They just know it and they know the outcome and that's fine. If the outcome is the outcome, it doesn't really matter if they understand it, right? It's they're starting to get a taste of how the energy works. They know there's something there and that can begin to get them to ask questions for themselves as well.
oh, I love that. And especially in the world of entrepreneurship and us being magical beings, I think it's so interesting because going back and forth between like, all right, well, how do I market myself if, I don't like if they don't even know what I do, but they know that they need to come to me for what I do. Well, how do I even explain what I do as well? So, how have you been able to come to a place of being able to put yourself out there and share to new potential clients?
Yeah, so if I could share a lesson with any new entrepreneur, this would be it because I spent so much money and so much time doing it wrong. To say that, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, very standard business practices, trying to figure out like what's the marketing strategy and what kind of vehicles am I doing? And yet, and working with coaches who would say you cannot build a business on referrals. Well, I'm an emotional authority in human design generator 4/6, which means that all of my work comes through other people. And that was happening. And my business was growing through referrals and people coming and I was trying to be somebody different and spending all this money on marketing that was not doing anything. Right. Right. So I would say like find out how your energy works. I wish I would have known this. It would have completely changed my business and changed my life probably because I was beating up my head against the wall thinking I was doing something wrong because I could see it working for other people, but it would never worked for me, right? And so it's really finding out how does your energy flow? How do you magnetize people to you it might be in that traditional marketing way, but it might not be, right? And mine is the complete opposite. So, and now that I'm starting to do that, I'm starting to see, oh, okay, things are shifting again, right? And it's not as hard, right? Like, because I'm just going with connecting with people and having conversations and with no agenda, just to connect with them and see how they're doing. And then that it might be that person that brings business, or it might be somebody completely out of the blue that I haven't talked to in 10 years that's reaching out to me because of something, right? So it's a different way of doing business, but I feel like it's more fun and more successful in the end.
Oh yeah, I totally resonate with that, especially as a 2/4 generator myself with an emotional authority. All of the job opportunities that I've had in the past, probably 10 years have all come from a friend, hey, like we need someone here, can you apply to this job? Or literally someone just sending me a text and saying, hey, I need someone to fill a part-time role. Are you open for some space right now? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah,
And it's so
exactly.
much more fun that way.
Exactly.
I love it. So, speaking of like energetics and understanding who you are, I know that you have processes to help people better understand where they're coming from. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, so one of the things, the very first thing that we do with all of our clients is something I call the why connection. And it's starting with a tool by the Y Institute called the Y.OS Discovery, which shows you, when I talked about my why being making an impact, and it shows like where, how can you articulate your why in a way that shows what drives you, right? So, some people will say my why is my family, or my why is my spiritual faith, or yeah, those are whose, right? Not necessarily your why and what drives you. And then it also shows, how do you internally process information to deliver on that why? How do you bring that why to life? And then ultimately, what do you want other people to receive from you? What do you deliver? And so we take this tool and take it into a coaching session to walk you through it and say okay, let's bring this to life and apply it to your life, your business, whatever it is that you do, so that you can have a fulfilling life, right? And you can say, okay, well, I'm not able to, like I said, like I'm not able to make an impact, so I know that's going to be frustrating for me. And so I'm not going to go down that path with people, right? And I let them know that up front. Um, my how is better way, which means finding better ways of doing things and sharing them, which means I'm always changing things. I'm always looking for how to improve. So when I hire somebody into my company, I let them, before they come to work for me, I tell them like this is how I work. And so if you're looking for something that's really predictable and really stable and never changes, this isn't the place, right? Right. And then my what is simplify, which means I look for simple solutions, right? Things that are easy to use, easy to apply, that are can be operationalized quickly. Um, and that's usually where clients will say magic. Like, how do you do that? How do you make that so simple? How can you take that super complicated information and make it into 3 bullet points? I don't get it. Right. Right. So yeah, so that's, not something, it's something that we do, yes, in corporations, but it's something that anybody can use, that we offer to anybody who's looking for understanding what drives them, and that can ultimately lead to help them find their purpose.
Mm, beautiful. So if anyone is looking for that help, how do they connect with you?
They can go to yconnection.com to check it out. And then of course, I'm available on all the socials as well if you have questions.
Beautiful. And I'll drop all of those links in the show notes. So is there anything on your heart that you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, you mentioned that the word that keeps coming up for you for 2026 is devotion. And for me, I think the word for me is alignment, right? Which is, connecting to, just aligning with who you are. And um I'm a Formula One racing fan, and I saw there's a driver named Lewis Hamilton who is drives for my favorite team, Ferrari. Last year he was 7-time world champion, and last year he had a really bad year.
Mm,
And I saw this morning this note from him saying, the fans have been telling me to remember who I am. He's like, and now I get it. He said, I because I was going through these challenges, I forgot who I was. And so I would just pass on that advice from Lewis to say, remember who you are. And if you're going through challenges, because I anticipate that we're going to have a challenging year this year, just remember who you are and keep coming back to that.
yes, yes. And one of the facets of who I am is reading the tarot. So if you're open to it, I'm gonna pull some cards. How about
Oh yeah,
that?
absolutely. I love it.
Yes, let's do it. All right. So with that, let's see if there's any messages that want to channel through for us and the collective. All right. So the first card that showed up was this Two of Cups. And with this is feeling like the invitation to not go it alone, right? There is opportunity to connect with other people. There's our opportunity for aligned partnerships here for us this year as we're moving forward. So really lean into being around the people that feel like they're filling your cup and not just, you know, talking to the coworker that drains you or whatever it is that we tend to fall into, but being very intentional about who we're sharing our energy with, right? And that may come with a new perspective and really taking that time to think about who and where and how am I spending my energy, because we really ultimately want to do the things that nourish and nurture ourselves. So with this Empress, right? Like I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards. She's this beautiful pregnant woman who is creating something extraordinary. She's creating new life in the picture, but this can be creating a new business. This can be creating a new recipe, a new spiritual practice. It is a devotion that takes time, right? And so we need to nourish and nurture ourselves when we are in this mode of creating something extraordinary so that when we show up in the world, we can show up in our power and our authenticness. We can light our fire and everyone can see it and feel it, and we know what we're going for with this Queen of Wands. So I love it. We get to choose which way the wheel turns. So, which way do we want to go? What perspective do we want to have? And who are we spending that time with? There's our message for
Love
today
it.
in this call. So thank you so much for being here. Again, every way to connect with Sonya is going to be in the show notes if you would like. For me, you can find me Mama T Energy on Instagram, also Tiara Jená on Facebook, or shoot me an email at mastery@mamateenergy.com. Thank you all so much for listening. Love you so much. Is there anything you would like to say before we hop off, Sonya?
Thank you. So much gratitude to spend this time with you today.
Beautiful. Have an extraordinary day, my loves.